the goal of higher education is to transmit a common culture and a common standard of citizenship. The average person today living the four walls of the University of Ghana doesn't even dream of coming back to Lagos, let alone doing something to help the country of Ghana. No, because they feel like they've been maltreated. They feel like the system has been unfair to them. Many Legon graduates feel like the system is so alien, so harsh. It treats them so harshly that when they are leaving Legon, they don't even dream of coming back, even though, of course, some later change their minds and come back to do master's degree just for being sake. So you see that the system is failing. Again, the goal of higher education is to stimulate creative and innovative thinking. I think we can have a whole session on this one to find out whether the educational systems and institutions are stimulating creativity and innovative in the students. No, not at all. The goal of higher education is to cultivate students' problem-solving skills. How many students do we know who do not have what it takes to solve practical problems in the organization? So they come, there's a practical organizational problem, you tell them to go and solve it, and then they can't do it. They don't even know which models, which tools to use. Why? Because everything they learned in school was just purely theoretical. You have a professor who is teaching statistics in some university, okay, and you know the basic spreadsheet software, which is Microsoft Excel, he doesn't even know how to use it, and then he is happy probably to teach his students how to calculate things manually. And the students are suffering, the students cannot appreciate it, and he's happy. So it turns out that the joy of many of these academics lies in the suffering and the frustrations of their students. When more students are frustrated and find the subject to be difficult, then that professor is happy. He thinks he's successful. No, he's a failure. He's a failure. So it's a problem. Again, the goal of higher education is to develop and deploy students' potentials. We can also have a whole session on this. You know, because the concept of potential is very important. So if a student is going to school, the student should be able to find an educational institution which will help them develop their potential, their skills, their gifts, their talents. Unfortunately, many of the educational programs being offered by the tertiary educational institutions are not related whatsoever to developing people's potentials. Let me tell you something which is startling. I have found out that many of the programs that they run at the tertiary level were created by scholars and academics based on the courses they studied in school, so that they will create jobs for themselves and remain in the university without thinking about the students, whether the courses they are creating for the students are relevant to the industry.
Let me sit up straight and then give myself.
That's what is happening. That's the truth of the matter.
Really?
That's the truth of the matter. That's why you will find certain courses being studied in certain institutions like classics. If you are studying about the history of classics, what are you going to do with that? You are studying about Europe, the history of Europeans. What are you going to do with that? No, what are you going to do with that here? Okay, you studied about the history of Europe. Okay, you are in Ghana. Okay, so you are done. You bring your certificate. What do? I have first degree in classics. Okay. Or you studied archaeology. Okay,
archaeology.
Right. Okay, archaeology. So, or you studied anthropology. So, or you studied zoology. You studied about animals. Okay, so go to the bush or set up a zoo. I mean, many of the courses are simply bogus. You studied botany. What are you going to do with it? Are you going to go to the bush and be cutting down plants, or what are you going to do? So you find out that many of the people who study those courses either have to struggle their way through life. Maybe some of them have to divert. I know a lot of people who study those courses who have to divert and use maybe connections to be working in banks. There are people who study chemistry from the University of Ghana who are now working in banks. What is the use of the chemistry? You see that? And then we have a few of them who don't get the opportunity maybe to work in the banks. Then they will be deceived by some of these same academics to pursue higher degrees. So you see some of them being masters in zoology. See, already when you had the first degree, you didn't get a job. Now you're going to master the study of animals.
That's very sad.
Yeah, but that's what's happening.
It's very sad.
Yeah.
Well,
so I have a tall list, but I think I have given enough. Maybe we'll continue in the course of the year.
Because I'm not even sure we can fully exhaust all the questions that we have, because it's a very broad issue. Very, very broad issue. And then I like I rightly told our viewers that I could just predict the kind of zest that you attach to your submissions, because you are an industry person. Then you see all these guys come in for interviews, and then they have little to nothing to show for what appears to be on the surface of their CVs. So I really understand how this whole thing is going to be. Now, you spoke about some of these students moving on to pursue higher learning, piling up more papers. I want you to help us understand this right now, because we are told that the education which we receive is supposed to expand our horizon and then broaden our vision. That is how we are oriented in school. So people who go to school, aside the other motivation that, okay, I'm going to expand my vision or broaden my horizon in terms of appreciating knowledge. And another way too is that, okay, once I'm done, I have to get a job. But for most of these students or most of these graduates, once they are done with school, they find it difficult getting jobs. So they tend to go and do top up. Some of them proceed to go and do masters, because they think, okay, when I go and do masters and I come back, then I can easily get a job. Some also go and move to do PhD. Some will travel outside. Some will go for loans, scholarships, and all that, and go and study outside and come back. And they'll go and study things which cannot fit into our system. I advise our viewers, if such a move is to be encouraged or commended, a move like this.
Yeah, I think this is a very critical observation. Now, if you remember my 7th point, I said that the objective of higher education is to develop and deploy students' potentials. Develop and deploy. Now, I didn't say to develop and employ. So there's a difference between deployment and employment. Employment means that you are done with your schooling or education, so to speak, which to me is a misnomer. You can never be done with your education or your learning, so to speak. So you see, it is you see there's a fundamental problem. If you go back to that question you asked, the difference between learning and education, it's a fundamental problem. And if you are watching, listen to this carefully. So you see, the formal education system, so to speak, tries to put some kind of cap or limitation on your learning. Okay, so for example, you move from high school, you get to the university, maybe 3 years, 4 years, you are done. Okay, and then maybe you are fortunate, you get a job. Okay, what happens to you? Some people will be on the job for several years, and then now they feel like, oh, I need to go back to school. Probably because they've seen that's the trend in the organization. Everybody is going to do masters, so they too must have some master's degree. The question is, the master's degree you're going for, is it going to make you a master? I said, you see, they are deceiving the people. Many of the so-called master's degrees will never make you a master of anything. You know why? Because the people teaching you were never themselves masters of anything. I don't care. They may call themselves doctors or professors. It's just mere title. They are never masters of anything. They are professors of entrepreneurship. Teaching entrepreneurship in certain schools in the country who don't have a single pure water shop. They are professors of economics, okay, who cannot establish a single SME by themselves, but they teach economics. What kind of economics are they professing? What are they teaching you? And there are people teaching business administration. They'll teach you everything about business, strategic management. They'll teach you about accounting, finance, marketing, HRM, leadership, management. They'll teach you everything, but they can't apply themselves. And that's why, you see, if we want to change the system, the time has come for the educational institutions to listen to what the industry people are saying, and then get industry people on board. In some of the universities outside, okay, like Harvard Business School, for example, you see that some of their education and training programs bring together a blend of academics and industry people. See that? And so, if let's say you want to roll out a course like entrepreneurship, I don't think that you have to allow a professor sitting on the university campus who has never opened a single pure water shop to be teaching students about entrepreneurship. You have to bring successful entrepreneurs from the industry to come and teach the students, because the truth of the matter is the theories of entrepreneurship don't work in reality. And it's not just about entrepreneurship, but many of the theories that they will teach you in school don't work in reality. So the industry people are faced with the reality that academics are living in fantasy. They are just using theories. You understand that? And so it is actually wrong for students or people to think that they want to maybe pursue a higher degree like master's degree or even a PhD just because they think that's going to make them more employable. It's never going to make them more employable. In fact, it's going to make them more unemployable. Because what happens is, by the time you are done with that, you have even complicated your chances of being recruited, because in the industry, perhaps the head of HR, who is even going to supervise the recruitment process, is probably a first degree holder, or even someone who is now doing his master's or her master's. If the person even has a master's degree in HRM, the point is that if you have a PhD in human resources management, they will not recruit you and come and make you the head of HR in that organization, because you don't have any experience. So imagine that you are the head of HR for a company, and then you are recruiting someone who has a PhD in HRM.
No.
Naturally, as a human being, you may feel threatened that person might come and try to maybe hijack your position or something. Naturally, you would want to push away the CV of that person and maybe pick other people who are lesser or maybe equal in rank to you. Like you might pick people who have maybe master's or first degree. So for entry-level point in an organization, we don't normally pick master's people. We pick first degree people or lower. And so if you have your first degree and you didn't get a job, and then you think that by topping up and having a master's degree and a PhD is what is going to give you a job, you are lying. And CEOs of companies, will tell you that you are deceiving yourself. I mean, how many CEOs of companies even have a PhD?
Yeah.
You understand that?
Yeah.
The CEO of the company even doesn't have a PhD, and you said you have a PhD. So what? The PhD doesn't resonate anything in the mind of the CEO. They don't care about PhD because practically at the organizational level, we don't solve problems with PhD. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
So it's a real problem, but that's also a weakness in the system, because it's rather sad that the system trains people to pursue employment instead of deployment. So employment means you are looking for a job, and you are looking for a job on the basis of what the paper says you can do. Deployment is you want to create things. You want to be creative. You want to be innovative. You want to achieve things, not based on what a paper is saying, but based on the natural endowments of your skills, your gifts, your talents, your abilities. So people pursuing employment always move along with their certificates. The folks pursuing deployment always move along with their skills, their skills, their creativities, their innovations, their abilities, their talents. True education should be geared towards helping people deploy themselves, as in bring out the best of everything that they are naturally endowed with. It shouldn't rather restrict people to certificates and transcripts, whereby they will be going about looking for jobs which are related only to those certificates. And that's why you see we have a lot of massive unemployment, because so you studied accounting. See, there's one gentleman who wanted to apply to Tremmbit Consult. He said he studied accounting or something, right? You studied accounting, and he says he searched out Tremmbit Consult. He wanted to work with one of the best consulting firms, and he searched out Tremmbit Consult, and then he found it on Google. So he decided to apply. We asked him to send his certificates and transcript. Going through his certificates and transcript, you find out that fundamentally, Tremmbit Consult is involved in research amongst other things. So we checked out that guy's performance in research methods. He had a C. So he didn't master in research methods. He studied accounting, but he's not getting a job to practice as an accountant. He finds a consulting firm, Tremmbit Consult, which is into research amongst other things. But if we want to employ him, we are not interested in his accounting. It turns out that he excelled in accounting. He got a lot of A's and B's in accounting. But look, research method, he got C. Quantitative techniques, he got C+. So if we probably wanted to employ him, okay, maybe to see whether he could do some things pertaining to research, what he has on the face of his own transcript has disqualified him. Because it turns out that he exerted all his effort into studying accounting courses and took research methods, quantitative techniques. He didn't take them seriously. And here he is, he's done with his accounting, but he's not getting any job as an accountant. What is he going to do? The point is, true tertiary education should not just restrict students to, some so-called areas of specialization.
Yes, I was even going to come there.
Yes.
So you brought it up. So
it is supposed to. That's why we have university. The concept of university relates to universal. You are supposed to have universal, all-encompassing education that can help you fit anywhere you find yourself. It's not supposed to make you specialize, so-called, in a field, and then if you are not getting any opportunity in that field, it means you are trapped or handicapped.
That's right.
Unfortunately, that's what is happening to many of our youth today. It's rather sad.